Welcome to another installment of the Cool Kids Table. My guest, I think 3 times in a row now. I'm not gonna lie to you, we haven't.
Yeah, hopefully this one turns out to be. They say three. What's it called?
3 times the charm.
Yeah, hopefully this one will be a good episode.
I think the last two were well received, but yeah, my brother again. Been MIA for a while. I mean, the show has, but just because it's been busy, life's been busy. That means life is good. But David, welcome back.
Good to be back. I've been right here the whole time. I've been quarantined since he got COVID. Nah, just kidding.
Nah, I haven't got a COVID yet.
Yeah, I tested negative, whatever it might be. What's a good one?
Negative.
Okay, I tested negative like 3 days ago. So.
Oh, nice. I tested negative like a month ago. But obviously that's, the whole year, literally before we started this, we said we weren't going to talk COVID or politics. Not that we weren't, but it was just like...
we're here to break the rules.
No, but I mean just because I feel like it's been beaten,
but it's kind of towards the end of the year, so it's kind of like...
a wrap-up. But I mean, that's what everybody was saying.
It's not a wrap-up, but...
No, like, I feel like people are like, okay, like 2021, cool, COVID's gone. Like, no, it's just going to roll over to next year. Like, it's not going to go away.
Well, for me, it's kind of like, all right, you went through a full year kind of quarantine. Not the full year,
really,
but like
okay.
9 months.
Yeah.
So, like, how are you ready for next year's quarantine kind of thing? Like, you get me? Because a lot of people are still in the same position they were 9 months ago, which is like you just said, it's not going to go anywhere. So if you're... assuming it's going to go somewhere, like, what's your plan?
I mean, like, I saw this meme that said, stop sharing that this was your year, that this is what you needed with so many people dying. But at the same time, I feel like, for me personally, and I can't speak on all those other people, but for me, it's kind of what I needed, like, not just to like a reality check, but kind of like
I was about to say reality check, because you're like all these which would be like healthy people, just because of like it's modern technology, right? Oh, they have past conditions, they had surgery, this and that, so because of our modern technology that helped them live, it's making them vulnerable now. Like, so yeah, to me it was like a reality check of like this shit could, like, your life could be gone any minute, so you gotta see what's really important and what you really want, kind of, I guess, to make you happy.
That's where I would say, for me personally, like, I had that like 2.5 years ago, like, I've talked about it on previous episodes where I was already on that journey, on that trajectory personally, and so like the whole telling family and friends I love you, taking nothing for granted, cherishing the little things, like that was already things that I saw people collectively saying and doing now, because they're like, oh, I lost an uncle, I lost my job, or things kind of where you're like, anything can be taken from you at any time.
Yeah.
And so, not to say I was ahead of the curve, but I just personally, like, I talked about that, like how I'm not too prideful to tell you, David, I love you. Tell my parents every time I see them, every time I leave them, give them a kiss, The homies tell them I love them.
That's just contagious, we keep it to yourself.
and so for me, at least, that's what I'm saying, out of my personal experiences, for me, it wasn't like a reality check. It was more like a, reaffirmation, if you will, where I was like, what I've been doing, not saying I'm right, I'm doing everything right, but I'm like, I'm doing the correct thing. I'm trying to prove myself right? Like, not let outside influences influence me, but kind of like that was like, okay, like reaffirming what I've been trying to do. Like, okay, I'm not going to say the correct path, because there's many correct paths, but like what I'm doing is not wrong, if you will. Like,
yeah, I guess that's what this year made me realize, like, ultimately what's going to make you happy, other than like myself and kind of shit, including like the job you have, or like pretty much how you live your day-to-day kind of thing.
Yeah. And obviously, I set out to do a lot of crazy things, and now in retrospect, I'm still glad I did, but I'm kind of glad I failed at some, because looking at the list, like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I was analyzing the list, and I'm going to actually elaborate on this in further episodes or in on the podcast page. Like, it's successful by making you fail, because if you can do all those 20 things, like, you didn't do them right.
Let's talk about the biggest failures, though. Fish over here. Not just because that one probably has the most interesting stories, because, like, I forgot when it was, to be honest with you, but I know it happened, where, like, on the Instagram, I was, like, scrolling through the stories, because if you post and shit, like, I don't see them. If you post a story, then I'll kind of see it from time to time. And I see your story, where they're throwing your shit away, and I was like, so, like, since most people don't get to experience that shit, I mean, what happens when the city does you dirty like that?
But this will probably be aired before. There's actually, I don't even know, but there's an article coming out about the struggles of street vendors, and me being the quote-unquote well-spoken, articulate, bilingual person that I am.
You can speak English.
I could, not just that, but I can represent the people out there, because someone will speak English, but they don't know how to say the things that they want to say. They fear consequences if they were to speak up, and I'm like, dude, they're not going to fucking deport us. They're not going to fucking come and give us a $10 an hour. Like, stand your ground. This is our livelihood. And so, that being said, there's an article coming, I'm sure, a few days after this drops, but they make it seem like it's so simple to get a permit. Like, to be like, dude, it's a $80 permit. Like, go out there and get the permit. And you call, you email, you do all these things. And basically what they say is, like, if you have a lunch truck or a food truck, you can get a permit for $80, which is true. But they don't take into account that these lunch trucks are $50,000, like a lonchera.
Yeah.
And so they say, well, yeah, street vending is legal. Like, that's not street vending. Nobody calls that street vending. That's a food truck,
Yeah.
And what they're saying is, like, that's legal. That street vending is legal. Yet, you ask anybody, what is street vending? They're going to tell you, oh, people selling on the side of the street. And so that's one, that's on the city. And then two, like, there's no like person to talk to. You call and it's like the DMV. There's no specific, like, hey, look, this is the department. No one
wants to deal with it because they're not their job. Yeah,
it's just kind of call this number and they'll help you out. And luckily for me, like I said, I'm very persistent. I'll call every day. I'll leave a voicemail every day. I did all that, and still the same thing. I pretty much got them to, like. So what you're telling me is basically there's nothing I can do. Or what you can do is, get a food truck and, you get the food truck and then you pay the $170. And I'm like, okay, so basically there's nothing I can do. Yeah, just get a food truck. Like, okay, I can't get a food truck. So what can I do? Well, get a food truck. So there's nothing I can do. If you get a food truck, you can get the permit for $170. Like, so there's nothing I can do.
You know what's crazy? Remember, I don't know, I think I talked about it in an episode about my, like, last job where I was talking about how they're talking about professionalism and, like, it falls under what they consider professionalism. It's kind of like that same thing, too. It's like, okay, it's a completely new generation that things exist now. Before all these things were written up, and these people who are kind of, like, in their own bubble, I don't want to call them boomers or nothing, but, like, the people who don't want to, like, look past the new things, like, for instance, like the fact that there's people like Post Malone getting $1 million endorsement deals and stuff like that, So professionalism, or like the way things should be, aren't always the same way. Because, like, so what's stopping you from getting a little like flatbed trailer then and just putting your, like, welding your grill onto it and saying, hey, this is my...
That wouldn't be permitted. I mean, first the money, but then second, that wouldn't be approved by the city either way.
So you just...
You need, like... I'm not stupid. I don't think the listeners are stupid. What they want is like cleanliness, right? Which we have sanitizer. It's not the same as water, but apparently it's better than water,
Like Corona,
yeah. So we have sanitizer. We wear gloves. We wear the mask. Anything, like what I've told people is, like, if you feel comfortable eating takeout at a restaurant, be it fast food or dine-in, like, outdoor dining, like feel comfortable with us, because one, that's what I do, and then two, I had so many people come up to me and be like, dude, like ever since I came to you with you, it's completely different now, because I go eat somewhere else with another street vendor and they're wearing gloves, but I'll pay them and they'll give me my change and then they'll grab the tortillas. And before, where I was like, that was normal.
Yeah.
But they come to me, I give them food, I change my gloves. Well, honestly, I don't even grab money. If I'm gonna grab money, I take off my gloves. I'll grab the money, then sanitize, and then put new gloves on. And they'll be like, dude, that's a trip. Like, don't you go through a lot of gloves? I'm like, yeah.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point of gloves, like, you're changing them out. Like, what's the point of, like, wearing gloves and then touching everything,
Yeah.
And so, one thing I have seen is, like, for me at least, community support, like, how people rally to help us out. We just did this Thanksgiving. I mean, that was supposed to be part of the podcast, too. The podcast was involved with that, because I feel like fish has a cap. Like, it could grow. It's going to grow exponentially. It's going to be a food truck, then a restaurant, like a brick and mortar. It's going to be a big thing. But at the same time, you can only feed 400 or 500 people a day, even at its peak in 2-3 years. And going forward, right? Whereas the podcast, I can get 400 or 500 listens a day. Easy, And that's next episode, it's going to be bigger. And so that's why I said, people tell me, why are you adding the podcast? I'm like, because this is a whole thing together. This is the one that's bringing the attention now. But this one in the future, once we have sponsors, and I tell them, each one of them, like, yo, I want 100 turkeys too, as part of the deal, I want this and that. Like, this is going to be of greater impact, because this one has literally no limit. We can ask people to donate. Hey, say I ever go on Patreon or some shit, do an extra episode a week. Like, hey, this month, all of that money from Patreon is going to go to this. Like, it's an uncapped market. Like, so I just wanted to make sure.
As someone who well, I don't know which perspective you're doing it from, whether fish or podcast, because I listen to a shitload of podcasts, like, too many probably, like 10 hours a day. That shit's fucking, I need new shit to listen to. But instead of Patreon, like, merch, even, like,
why not both?
I don't know, because as someone who listens to them, I haven't paid for one Patreon whatsoever. Not because, like, I'm not fans of them, because some of their actual episodes, like, I'll be like, oh, I'm not into it, so why would I risk paying for something that I might not be into it? Whereas with the merch, it's like, it's not to say I'm getting something out of my value, but not only am I getting something for the money I'm putting in, because even, let's say if you have a subscription-based merch, like, let's say, I don't know, $40-50 a month, and you say you get one shirt, and even if you say an extra episode or some extra content, if you want to still do that, you still get that little, not only do they get to promote you, but you as a listener get to say, okay, well, I'm getting a little bit more value for my dollar, which I would rather spend, if I'm going to pay for something, like, look at Hulu, look at all of those. Well, most people maybe pay for the bottom one, which is not a problem, but for me, like, I share, and I think our family tends to share, most people tend to share it with it, so they get the premium package anyways. Netflix has the premium package, Disney Plus have the premium one, so if I'm going to get, like, content or something, I would rather get the premium one, which, hey, if I'm going to get free merch, when at that point it feels like free merch, it's like, see how in my own head I made it seem like that, and I could be wrong, but I'm just saying from my perspective as someone who actually listens to podcasts, and like I said, I listen to freaking 10 hours a day, and I'll tell you, this guy has a good podcast. No one has nothing but good episodes. Like, there's
no, of course,
nothing but good episodes.
I don't think that way, because personally, as the person that's here every episode, I can tell you which one's been my favorite. I can't tell you, but I mean, I know which ones have been my favorite.
When you're doing them, they all feel good.
They all feel amazing.
Yeah.
And there's some where, I told you when on the episode you were talking, I was like, don't look at the numbers. Now I don't even look at the numbers. The other day I logged in to make sure everything was running, no episodes had stopped, because I've never seen it, but I've read that, once in a while my episode 18 stopped playing, no listens, no nothing. What happened? Just log on, make sure everything's good, nothing's been moved around as far as, like...
I got I got restricted on Instagram.
For it?
I have no clue.
Well, maybe some shit you post.
I don't
But
know.
I'm talking about Libsyn, yeah.
Libsyn, whatever.
As far as downloads and all that. And where was I going with this? With the whole downloads, like, okay. I honestly lost my train of thought. It was a good idea where I was going with not to look at the numbers. What did you say last about not the merch, but
the subscription, like
the subscription based model, right?
Yeah.
And
you said you didn't look at it that way because, and then you kind of.
Oh yeah, because of the episodes. You said that the episodes, not all of them are good.
Yeah.
See, to me, each episode feels amazing. Like if an episode sucked, this happened on Zoom once. The episode sucked, and I said, hey, you know what? I don't feel comfortable releasing this shit. So we stopped. We stopped the episode, but we continued the conversation.
Yeah.
The conversation continued, and I said, why didn't we do this during the episode? Why were you guys being so fucking uptight? Like, oh, because too much pressure. This is after the episode had charted. Remember that.
Yeah.
The episode got big. I mean, the show got big. So I guess there was pressure, which I don't feel like. I'm like, dude, it's just, I got to keep doing what I'm doing. The guys got to keep doing what they're doing, which is just be themselves. But when people are trying to be something else, I guess there's like some...
Like a persona almost.
Yeah.
I guess it works for some people, but...
No, but see, as me, as the, not just the host, but the creator, and this is my baby, I got to put the best representation of it. So if I could tell while I'm doing it, like, yo, this isn't good, I'm going to know that, remember, any random episode is going to be some person's first episode.
Yeah.
And so that person's first episode is going to be this trash. I was like, dude, this is, even at that moment, I was like, this is not, I'm not comfortable releasing this. So we stopped it.
Because that is the truth. I know you haven't gotten anyone, not to say celebrity-wise, because I know you gotten some people who are more like popular or have more like followers, stuff like that, are more locally known. But there are some bigger podcasts that I listen to where they'll have one guest who I'll find like either obnoxious or like I'll be like, it's just not an interesting conversation whatsoever. So when I see that same guest on another podcast that I listen to, I'll automatically not listen to that podcast episode because I'll be like, oh, it's going to be a bad episode.
Yeah.
Because it's a bad guest.
It's not, yeah. And so for me, I feel like every episode is good, right? But at the same time, I'm not stupid. I know what episodes are the most listened to. I have the chart. I have this episode got this many plays in 3 days. This episode hasn't got there in 6 months.
You know what the problem with those charts is? It's the reason that people like Tekashi 6ix9ine exist. I don't know if you've had a chance to see the new documentary. If you haven't, like, even if you don't like him, well, especially if you don't like him, I'm not speaking on him on a positive light. If you watch it, you kind of say to yourself, like, all right, this guy is a piece of shit. He does deserve whatever the shit he's gonna have to go through because legit, he's a piece of shit.
No, I mean, but
I mean, it was clear before, but that makes it like stamped where even his driver is talking about how big of a piece of shit he is, you know, and that's supposed to wasn't his driver with him for ages?
I don't know, B.
I mean, I watched the documentary and I don't even know either, but
yeah, but
it's pretty good. It's on Hulu.
My point being so let's say this is just hypothetical, right? Because I said it, the earliest I'd go Patreon is 2022 when I have my schedule on lock and everything, and I can, because right now, like, hey guys, pay this much a month, and I release once every 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, but I know the episodes that get fucking plays. I've had, you're the person that's been on the most, you, Izzy, 3 times, right? But I know which episodes fucking
are bangers.
So all I gotta do is be like, hey, look, they're gonna be on this episode. You want them for an hour extra? Get on our Patreon, you know. It's not gonna be $30 a month either, you know. It's $5 a month, but they know that those $5 ensures us having those 2 episodes a week.
That's true.
You get me? Because I don't have to worry about, hey, work 60 hours a week, do this on the weekend, and then find some time in there to fucking do the podcast. It's like, no, okay, the show's big enough. I don't expect everybody to get on Patreon. It's a small percentage that does. And that small percentage is your 10,000. You know the rule about 10,000? Like, you don't need 1 million followers. You need 10,000, like...
But that's what... It's kind of like it's still like a business model. So it comes down... Instead of selling something, is it like, are you entertaining enough to do it?
That's the thing. according to those charts, those episodes, it is, you know, like it's not
like he coming back because I'm the top one. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but fuck, this thing unplugged.
Technical difficulties.
No, we're good. Continue. Just the headphones, I can hear. There we go. Grab another round. But so and this is just for me as kind of like goals, because I could do a Patreon now. 3 people sign up. Like, what's the point of having a Patreon, you know? Now,
honestly, that it'd be like that. Like, look at for one, comedians or even artists talk about when they would start performing for a band or like an audience of like 2-3 people. The thing is, like, it's not the fact that how big you are. It's how your performance is, even how small your audience might be. But those 3 people, it might be like, I understand that maybe the same way. At first, those 3 audiences are following you. It's not going to be because you're some random person that they just came across. They're following you so they know your story of what you're going through. So to them, it's like, all right, at first, we're not going to get that content because this guy is small. Like, he's barely getting... I think Patreon shows you how many followers you have. And shit, so it's kind of understood. Like, you have 3 followers, you're getting $15 a month, which it's not a crazy amount, but at the same time, it shows you, like, all right, well, at least I have these core audience, and all it takes is one share, one thing for it to kind of blow up. And that's why it's kind of like a business model. Like again, a comedian, he could be in a tiny little shop performing for an audience of 3. It could be a coffee shop, open mic, and an executive producer for Comedy Central or something could walk in and, like, there's your big shot.
And that's the thing now, where I feel like even though, you know, it's been few and far between the last few months, I'm glad I have, I don't know, like close to 40 or already past 40 episodes. And at first I was like, fuck, dude, like, I'm on episode 7, like, fuck, I wish more people would see this. I wish more people would, like, this is good content, but nobody's listening. Well, there was people listening, right? But as it grows exponentially, that's the thing. Like, I keep saying exponentially is because before one person would share it, one person would see it. But now when 10 people share it, you know, that's 10 new people seeing it. And I'm so glad that there's so much to go back to, you know. Because let's say this is their first time listening to this. Let's say you got a new coworker or something and tell them, oh shit, I was just he tells you about this podcast. Actually, I just did a podcast with my brother on Monday. Oh shit, he likes it. And he goes, David, that was pretty good. Yeah, I've actually been on there 3 times. Now he's like, oh shit, let me see what episodes. And then he sees, I don't want to drop names or anything like that, but he sees somebody that he recognizes on there. He's like, oh crap.
But you know what's crazy? Even 40 episodes isn't even that.
It's not.
Because, like I tell you,
you listen to 10 hours.
Yeah, and that's me. Well, I have a shitload of coworkers because I work in a warehouse. Like, I do, what's that word? Like a repetitive task. So for me, just pop it in and, like, fucking be there, you know, like. So I've found some podcasts where they have like 100, 120 episodes. And like I told you, not every single one I'm going to listen to. I'm not going to pretend like I do. So, like, I'll listen to at least half of that. And then I'm like, well, they really don't have enough, where I'm finding myself listening to some podcasts, like, in case people are interested, come to permission.
No, look at the mic.
Oh, my bad. Some older podcasts, like Birdcast, for instance. And I'm listening to some episodes from, like, 2017, 2016. So even though they're older, like, I'm listening to them because the content is there. And, like, the thing is, they're entertainment value, so it's kind of more.
Yeah, and I doing the exact same thing. I'm a big fan of Andrew Schultz. We've talked about him before, and I'm all, like, caught up on podcasts, if you will, like, on the ones that interest me, like the ones that, like, my podcast. I know I could go back into some of the ones, like the true crime ones, but Flagrant 2.
I'm gonna take you to a different route real quick, which is gonna be in connection but kind of separately. All right, a lot of people might be familiar with Andrew Schultz because he was posting a lot of stuff on Corona and Trump and stuff like that. Yeah, right?
If you're not familiar, he's the guy that everybody was sharing during the pandemic. Well, I mean, we're still in the pandemic, but during the peak of quarantine.
Then that started with flip your phone.
Turn your phone sideways. Like, that was him. He blew up. He was already big.
Yeah.
Corona just made him a superstar. Like, I would share on Instagram, the only 2 people that outworked me during Corona were Alex Acevedo of Uplifts, whose shirt you're wearing right now, and Andrew Schultz. I even told Izzy that when he was out there at Fish one day. He thought, dude, you're killing it. I was like, only two people that outworked me were Alex and fucking Andrew.
Yesterday I was opening up YouTube and I typed in the letter A. You know what apart from the letter A, you know what the second recommended thing was? Andrew Schultz.
Yeah, he's big time. Like, it's a he.
But anyways, I only connected him with because of the coronavirus and a lot of people. Yeah. So to continue on that, like, so right now, the beginning of this, right, coronavirus, maybe 10 years from now, people can be like, what the fuck's the coronavirus? But this is audio proof. As far as digital proof, like, how do you think that's going to play out? Like, 10 years from now, when people didn't live through corona. Because my girl's into CSI, whatever those shows might be, like the crime scene
Miami and Los Angeles.
Yeah. And they're doing, I guess there's recent episodes out.
Of corona?
During corona. They're still the same crime scene investigators and stuff. But I seen your reaction, so you know what I'm talking about. Everyone has masks on. They're inside the courtroom and stuff with plexiglass dividing them and stuff like that. So, yes, corona's probably not going to go away for like a year or two, so this is going to be the norm. But again, 10 to 15 years from now, when these episodes get replayed on TV, are people going to be like, what the fuck is going on there? Like,
I think this is once in a lifetime. It's not even once in a generation, because there's those words like once in a generation. Like for example, Kobe's a once in a generation talent. LeBron's a once in a generation talent. See, but they're in the same lifetime.
Yeah.
But once in a lifetime talent is like Michael Jordan. You get me? Like, that's transcendent to the sport. And this isn't like once in a lifetime. Like, our grandparents didn't live through a pandemic, you know? Like, our great grandparents didn't. Yeah. This is once in a century type shit.
Spanish flu since the 1920s.
Yeah, exactly. Century. So, I feel like with Corona, especially, like, I was watching Unsolved Mysteries, not the new one. I'm gonna watch that probably tomorrow, binge it. But I was watching Unsolved Mysteries, like the old one. Remember we used to watch it?
The super classic one.
Yeah, Update.
Yeah.
And the reenactments, like they're blowing candles out, and they're giving out. I was like, what the fuck? Because I went to, I don't know how we're doing with the social distancing or whatever, but I went to this little like get together of my close friends.
Yeah.
And they had a birthday cake, and then they had a small birthday cake, like a birthday little, like a personal one, and they put the candle on that, like you blow on that. Everybody else, gets a piece of cake, and just these things like where they were high-fiving, and I was just like, all this shit is like things that nowadays you don't do. And I've seen memes about it. I always talk about memes, but people are like, let's keep masks going, moving forward, because a lot of you, like, people cough with their mouth open. I've seen that. Yeah. Like in stores, they're just like, and you're like, dude, fucking. I worked in restaurants for a lot of my like even if you cough it into your elbow, like we say.
It's a crazy thing about like everyone talking about like you have to social distance, you have to do this, but the thing is like you have to take precaution. Like the mask I wear is obviously not the best mask. I don't have like no medical grade mask. I don't pretend I do, but
yeah, it's on N95.
Yeah, like it does have a filter and it does filter everything. Like I mentioned, I went to Las Vegas twice during the pandemic, and not to say I'm out there like fucking being dumb and stuff. Well, some people might see it that way, but at the same time, like I told you, I just tested. For one, I tested when I came back from Vegas the second time, and then I just tested like what did I say on Tuesday?
3 days ago. You said probably a week now.
The day before Thanksgiving,
Wednesday.
Yeah, I got my results saying I was negative for it. So it's like you could live, but just take precautions. Like,
and really quick to jump back into the thing about not Patreon per se, but because there's things I want to do, like not just as the fish or as a podcast, but as a whole, like, and I feel like obviously because of me they'll be tied in going forward. Excuse me, but I just feel like with everything going on, I also thought like it's not the right time to be like, hey guys, send me fucking $5 a month. And that's one of the things where at the beginning of the pandemic, Izzy actually told me like, dude, have you thought about like, like, hey guys, I'm in a tough spot, like the show's doing really great, like would you consider sending me because I'm out of work. You know, that's how I was able to do so many episodes.
That's a tough thing too. At the same time, and you gotta consider, like you say, no, like it's tough, but at the same time, like you do talk about your positives, but you don't talk about the negatives, which was like the job you had at the time. All of a sudden, you know, it was like cut hours, and you obviously suffered from it, which you didn't say on here, which obviously $15-$20 does make a difference, like I said, with the Patreon. So not to say like you needed it, but
I needed it.
Yeah, and at the same, like I said, you weren't gonna come on here and say like, hey guys, like guess what, I'm not working as much anymore, and it's not by choice. And at the same time, like I said, unfortunately, well, for me, in part, I quit my last job because of the way they were handling the pandemic. And then I took a job where I'm able to listen to podcasts. So hypothetically, if we were like, hey, pay me $5 a month and I'll be able to put out podcasts, like think of how many people might have done that, where maybe they didn't quit their job by choice, but they lost their job and had to take another job where they're able to, or they have to pass the time like that.
At the same, I agree to an extent, but I feel like I wasn't the only one, you know, like there was, at least in my timeline, personal and the page, a lot of people were like, hey, you know, like not just the whole stay inside and all that, but it was like, you know, people in need, if you got money to, if you got food to donate, canned good, you know, take them to the food bank, because everybody's struggling. So I was like, I'm not the only one, you know.
But
so,
like, how do I, like, not to sound rude or not, well, not even to say you're even close to homelessness or nothing like that at all. But one thing a lot of people need to consider too, especially during this pandemic, and not to say like don't help the homeless or anything like that, but like make sure the people you know don't end up homeless themselves instead of helping the people who are like the people who are already in that much need. Hopefully they're able to get the help differently. But like this thing, like I'm pretty sure there's people who you know who, like I said, I fortunately for me, I quit a job where I was supposedly getting paid well as a manager to a job where I'm a warehouse worker, but I compare my checks to my girlfriend and I get paid more, like apples to apples. And it's like, okay, well, it's negative in certain light, positive in different lights. Like I said, just more people like me. Not to say everyone's gonna do it, but 5-10 people make a difference. That's why to me, merch is better, because I'll take a free shirt even if I'm paying for it in a different way. Yeah, it's a mentality thing.
It's all things to think about, because at the same time, it's like, I mean, it's not even, I'm telling you, all 2021 I will not do Patreon unless the show significantly blows up, like where it's like, it'd be stupid not to
monetize YouTube.
No, well, yeah, but that's the thing, I gotta get a camera, which I am going to next year.
Or just audio for now, and just
it is on there.
Do you have YouTube?
Yeah.
Then go, if you're listening to this, go follow it. Even if you don't listen to YouTube, just subscribe to it so it shows up subscribers, real people subscribing.
No, it gets up there. It's, to be honest, it's fucking crazy, because YouTube is like where we get one of the least amount of listens, because I think it's just a picture and then the sound.
Yeah.
So I feel like, but I know as soon as the video comes into play, it'll be different, because you can just sit there and watch it, you know. Or like I have YouTube Red.
GoPro, if you're listening to this, we need a sponsorship now, because I see a lot of people who do them. Like, yeah, they start off one have the GoPro, and it's not too over expensive.
No, and that's it, and that's the thing. I'm starting a food page, right? Like where I eat out. I'm the things I'm doing are all tied into each other. The reason why I want to get a GoPro is to record the podcast. With that same GoPro, I'd be able to record the places I'm going out to eat. So I'm like, dude, this is...
So again, GoPro, if you're looking to sponsor.
And that's another thing. Something I want to touch on, and what you mentioned earlier about the journey and all that, but it goes in with this. You know, you talked about them throwing out our shit on the street.
Oh yeah,
and somebody was mentioning to me, like, dude, you don't gotta, a few people actually on that page were like, you don't need to share all the bad stuff, you know, like, just share the good, focus on the good. And I was like, that's not who I am. I share everything. I want people to know that, you know, I'm just a human like you. Like, this shit sucks. Like, what the fuck? Like, whether you're rich, you're poor, somebody that happens to you, your first day, your last day, like, this shit sucks. And I want people to know the honest truth. Like, this is the shit we go through. And the same thing, you know, I was actually thinking about this on the drive yesterday. I was like, that sponsorship. I don't know if you ever saw it. We got a sponsorship. Like, reach out for this episode, this show. And
after my episode, hint, hint.
And they I played it hard to get because I said I'm not gonna just put an ad just for the fuck of it.
Yeah, which is good. Honestly, it's good.
Going forward, right? At least make it worth my while. So that if the listeners have to listen to ads, one, it's one thing that I actually endorse, and two, it's not just some piece of shit product where they, let's say they buy it and they're like, what the fuck? This is the shit you're recommending, you know? Like,
yeah.
So
Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny? That other girl. It's a girl.
I don't
Bad
know.
Barbie.
Why?
Fuck, cause on Snapchat, you know how they had like, you know Snapchat. They had those stupid like under your friends. They had like recommended pages.
Yeah.
And like I used to see some car one, and after it automatically jumps to the next one, right? And she would be selling like, you know, those fake iWatches.
Yeah.
She'd be selling it with like, go on there now, like 50% off code and this shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
But see, that's what some people do. And
Is
good for them.
it, like, how long does your how many followers don't you lose doing some shady shit like that?
Did you follow her?
Fuck no.
Exactly. I mean, you're still seeing it, so imagine how many people, remember, my audience is intelligent, so they know. But one of those quotes, remember how, you know, when they say, do we have a smart society or a dumb society? Remember how dumb the average human is. And remember that half the population is dumber than that. Like, people are dumb. Smart people do dumb things, you know, so like, it's dumb society. But so that sponsor reached back to me like 4 months later, which was like 2 weeks ago, and they're like, oh, you know what, we not just like, no, like, we retract the initial offer. And I was like, okay, cool. And no lie, the first day it kind of stung. Like, I'm like, these motherfuckers, you know, like. And I was like, you know what, no, I'm glad that because if I would just said yeah, they would have just, I don't know, sponsored an episode or two, and then what happens? It doesn't work, you know, like, so I was like, no, the episode needs to grow. I mean, the show needs to grow. Things need, and that's why I was like, you know what, I'm going to share this on the story. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to share it on the episode. So people know that, you know, losses come too. Like, even though I've been killing it this year, things have been going great, personally, professionally, on the podcast, there's still those losses. That's a big L, you know, like, the first sponsorship literally said, like, you know what, we're good. And I said, you know what, I'm going to share it on the episode so people know that, one, we all take L's, you know, we all take L's. And two, like, fuck it, I'm going to keep moving forward. I didn't reach out to them. They reached out to me. And two, I turned them down. Like, initially, it was like, let's do it if we do it like this. So they told me no, right? And then they did the double whammy, which was like, we retract the offer completely. But still, that's why I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this my way. And that's what I'm telling you, like, you know, you're like, Patreon, I'm like, I see my vision, and it might look a little cloudy sometimes, you know, because you lose focus for 3 months and don't do an episode, and it's fucking tough when you're working 60 hours a week. But at the same time, I'm like, this is going to be worth it, because like fucking Sinatra, I'm going to do shit my way. And I'm sure I'm going to have second guesses, like, because that whole day, I'm telling you, I was fucking like, what the fuck, what if I don't get another sponsor offer? Like, what? I was like, you know what, next day after that, I was like, fuck it, I've done it without a sponsor this far.
Fuck it.
Yeah. And so just to everybody out there, you know, like, you're going to take some losses. They're going to hurt. It actually hurt for 24 hours because it happened in the morning. So the whole day I was thinking about it, you know. And the next day I was like, you know, fuck it. I've been without a sponsor this whole time.
Hey, that rep probably got fired and they had to retract, like, I no longer work with the company. Nah, but that's crazy. Like, oh, so to completely go off topic, I know you don't drink soda anymore, but you know how at least McDonald's, did you ever get Coke at McDonald's?
Yeah, Coke is way better there. They have different carbonation.
No, and apart from that, their syrup has more sugar, and that's why they put more ice. So when it melts, it doesn't get watered down. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense, because if you drink that shit fast, it does taste super sugary.
Yeah. I mean, I cannot, I'm honest, don't quote me on this, guys. I'm thinking of doing no soda next year as well. Like, not even taking a sip. Like,
well, I honestly stopped drinking soda. Like, I'm not gonna say I stopped drinking completely because Thanksgiving I had before, but like it just depends on the food. Because sometimes, like honestly, myself speaking, I'll get like heartburn if I eat something spicy. And my mom makes some bomb ass tamales, but they got a little kick to them.
It's one. What time is it?
2:07.
And after we wrap this up, we're gonna have tamales still. Today's already
day 3.
Day 3, 4.
Day 4, and I took some too.
And we still have.
Took some with me. So
I see 2 big loads still right there of tamales, and there's some in the fridge.
Both fridges.
In both fridges. Yeah, so that we make a lot, but honestly, we love them. But
I had to feeding 10 people that night.
Yeah, multiple times we had 2 dinners.
Oh, I didn't. I had to go to work.
Oh, you went to work.
Hey, but again, shout out to the company I work for, because after I clocked out, I was like, what? Not only did I get, because I'm technically, usually I go in at 6:30, and then that night we went in at 11:30, but I got holiday pay, so I still get paid double time. And then you go in late, so I was like, cool.
Nice.
Makes it worth it.
But there's so much to talk about, but I feel like we could go into any variety of subjects. Like, I'm not one of those like, oh, the secret, you know, if you think.
No, I know. Like, I want to talk not some nonsense, but some life experiences that people could learn from. Like, all right, not to put you on the spotlight, but you kind of had two cars break down to you. There's a lot of people I've never had a car break down on me, like on the freeway, and I know you experienced that. Like, so
which ones? Because it happened early last week.
Because the truck, I think it broke down fully loaded, right? So that's kind of like something that might be movie like.
All right, so
reaction. Like, how do you react at the moment? Like, how do you get to safety first of all?
Put it like this. I've always been really good with numbers. When I read, I do the whole, concept analysis. The teachers love that. Like, what does, you read the story, and what did you feel? I felt like the lady was sad. She wrote a sad story. Like, oh, that's great. Because obviously we do that as an adult. People are like, well, that's obvious. No, but when you do that in 3rd grade and shit, I guess it was well received by the teachers and shit. So I've always been, I don't believe that left-right brain shit, like when you're either good with your hands or good with your brain type of thing. But I've always been the book kind of smart, like street smart, obviously, as I got older with the whole gang affiliations and my friends and the street life. But as far as like, give me an IKEA thing to build, and I'm gonna have some trouble, And whereas David and Mauro, my older brother, like, they're really good at these type of things. They figure shit out on themselves and they do it, and whatever, it works for them, it works for me, what I do. And so simple things with cars, I always go to my brothers or my dad. I'd be like, dude, you can figure this out. I'm like, I know I can, but at this point, I'm like, fuck it. You guys know it. Why am I going to struggle? Just do it. And then most of the time, they'll be like, yeah, I got you. And so they'll do it. And so Sunday, like 2 weeks ago, I'm on the freeway, fully loaded. My Durango is like fully loaded, like up into the front seat.
Like it's full of stuff.
Like, and then I hear like a loud, like a boom, like whatever, right? And
like a pop, yeah.
Like a pop. But I've had shit go wrong in my car before. That didn't sound like it came from my car. It just sounded like a pop. So I was like, cool, whatever. Kept driving, and about 60 seconds, maybe less, maybe 45, all I'd see is just steam all over the windows. Like, I could see through the front window, like through the dash,
yeah,
but through the back and everything, like, I could not see shit. Like, it was so much steam, like, just steam, yeah. Not fire, nothing like that, just steam. So I threw on the hazards. I'm in the, not the fast lane, but I guess the 3-lane, and I'm like, I put my signal, right, like, I'm like, alright, I'm gonna scooch over. I hope you fuckers, like, give me space, because y'all can see what the fuck I'm seeing. I can't see shit through my fucking rearview mirror. I can't see shit through my passenger side mirror. So I'm just gonna put my blinker and pray for the best. I'm gonna pray, but you know what I mean. So I said, fuck it.
So Jesus. So I started Superman.
So I started doing it slowly, and I scooch one lane. I'm like, cool. All right, let me give it 2-3 seconds. Next lane, and you would think, right? I'm slowing down, like the steam is gonna like lessen. You know, whatever's on fire or whatever's burning is gonna be less on fire. So then fucking it gets worse. Like the steam is now like a grayish as opposed to white. It's gray. So I'm like, oh fuck, I really gotta get off this freeway. So I just jumped all the way across, kind of like in a smooth motion, like almost like I don't know, diagonal on the freeway, like almost perpendicular, not quite perpendicular, but almost, you know, like I said, fuck it, you know, something's wrong with the car, obviously. So get off the not off the freeway, but onto the shoulder. I look, and there's all these cars just passing by, looking at me like, what the fuck? I'm like, so I get off. I look. I pop the hood. I open the hood, and it's just steam. And I'm like, fuck. All right, I'm not good at cars. Let's say that again. But I'm like, probably the radiator. Probably something with the water because there's so much fucking steam. I look under, and I see fucking reddish, purplish, and I'm like, oh shit. I know that's most likely transmission fluid, but it might be oil. So just look, and it's just like fucking steaming. It kind of dies down like after 30 seconds. And I'm like, alright, what to do? So I'm like, alright, I don't have AAA. Let me see what I can do. And I remember not too long ago, I got a flat on the freeway, and then one of those tow trucks came by. 511, I think, like the metro one. So I was like, let me call them. So I called them. They're like, who? They got my information. Like, do you have a spare? I'm like, yeah, it's not a spare though. It's not a tire. It's just, I think it's transmission. Like, okay, cool. We'll send somebody out. Literally within a minute, there's somebody pulling up. I'm like, oh fuck, these guys are fast. Like, this is cool. So he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. So as he starts loading it up, you know, he gets all like, hey man, I can't take you anywhere. Like, I can literally get you off the freeway. That's it.
Wait, speaking of which, yeah, go on to those 511. I've never heard of them. So
okay, 511 is a metro service. This is not sponsored. This is just fucking cool thing they do. The metro, like for LA County, if you call 511 and you're on the freeway, they'll tow you off the freeway. They say they can't do anything, but last time they changed my spare. Their job is to just get you off the freeway. Yeah. You're like 80% more likely to die on the side of the freeway than on the side of the street. So they just get you off the nearest. They don't, there's a corner and let's say the Jiffy Lube's right there. They will not drop you off the Jiffy Lube. They drop you off like at the nearest intersection, like to the right. Yeah. Like they have the freeway, and then like the first light, they'll make a right, and like as long as you're off the street, like you can't be like, oh, look, there's a tire. Like, no, I put on GPS and stuff. And honestly, anyone listening, they should do that, because I used to work, the company I used to work for, there was a driver from a third party company who one time he pulled over to help someone who had a flat tire on the side of the freeway, and another car hit him and basically wedged him between the two cars and smashed his legs. So he was able to walk eventually, but I think like 2 years later, so he was paralyzed. So calling 511 to get him. And I mean, if you ever seen those tow trucks, they're big. They're big. So if a car were to hit him from behind, it would probably move it, but it wouldn't push it the same way as it would a regular car. So yeah, get those professionals out there. Yeah, no, and so I told him, like, you know, because then they offer you to let him sit in the car or whatever, or in the tow truck. So no, when he started lifting it up, I saw that a hose was hanging. I'm a mechanic, but I said, hey, that hose shouldn't be hanging. Yeah. And he goes, I can't do anything, my man. What do you think you need? And I was, let me get in there. So I get in there, and the hose had just ripped. Yeah. So I fucking took off the little tightening belt thing. The washer? The washer, yeah. I told him, can I borrow a screwdriver? He's like, yeah. So he gave me a screwdriver, just fucking get it undone, put it around the hose, you know, new hose, I guess, the new hose part, put it back on, tapped it up. To me, that was a win, right? Like, fucking Hector. And this is where we used to make fun of Hector, and you guys are more than welcome to. So, then I got I had called my dad, though, right? I was like, dude, this shit was wild. I was like, what do you think it was? And he was, I don't know, what you know, like, before the tow truck got there, after I called 511, it was just like, I don't know, steam? Like, it's not the radio. I'm like, it's not the radio. Everything's cool. Like, He's like, I don't know. So he just kind of boom, boom, boom. So I do that, get off the side of the freeway. He drops me off, and he's like, yeah, man, I think you're good, right? Like, you saw there was a fucking AM PM down there, right? I was like, yeah, well, I told you to drop me off. He starts like, I can. I'm like, yeah, it's all good. And I was like, you got there pretty fast. He was, did they call you? Like, no, I was just driving by. Did you call? He's like, let me call it in that I already picked you up. I was like, okay, cool. So anyways, this is the part where years are gonna love. Because all that sounds great, right? Like, damn, Hector, you did that.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of know what you're doing. You can end the story there if you want. No. You kind of know what you're doing. And you could end the story there, but like I said, you got to take your L's with your W's. And I've had quite a few W's, so I can take this one. So I go back to the AM PM, right? I get transmission fluid because it was the transmission line. And $10 a quart. I call my dad. I'm like, roughly how many do you think I need? He's like, at least 4. And I'm like, well, fuck. Where I post up at, there's literally no Riley's right there. I've seen this shit before because I grabbed it on accident, and it's like $7.
Ooh,
and
you're paying too much for your transmission oil.
For a whole gallon? Like,
oh, a gallon.
Yeah.
Because I can say a quart, those are cheap. They're like $2.
Yeah. And so he goes, well, get at least 3. 3 will get you there, and then, do your thing, and then at the end of the day, buy it. So I'm like, cool, at least 3, right? He's like, yeah, get 3. I'm like, that's $30. And then so I go and grab them, and they go, you don't want all 4? Those are the only 4 I have. And I was like, nah, I need 4, but I'm only going to take 3. They're too expensive. She goes, okay, cool. So it's like a fucking half a mile walk back. And this is where Hector fucked up. So Hector opens up the transmission fuel. Hector drops in 2 of them right off the bat, right? And then I check my fucking, what's it called? My dipstick. I check my dipstick, and there's no indentation of this bitch. So I'm like, okay, like, it does need 4. I'm like, cool, are we cool with 3? So I drop in another one, right? I check it again, and there's literally nothing on it. Now that, dude, I think when I know what he's talking about, I don't know how this looks underneath, but in my head, I imagine it is like, this thing goes like, there's like a pool, if you will, at the bottom.
Yeah.
And this stick goes into right here.
That's exactly how it works.
And that's where it gets a little indentation. Like, there's enough to right here. So I said, okay, so I'm gonna go back by the 4th one, and then that shit will at least show me a little bit, and I'll feel comfortable going back. So I walk again this half a mile by them. I was like, you did need it? And I was just kidding. I was like, no, I did need it. That shit's fucking, I'm all dirty as fuck, right? My hands are all greasy. And I'm like, that's a 511 just got me off the freeway, because my transmission line just blew. She's like, oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that. Bam, another $10, another 58 cents charge on the debit card that we should talk about with these fucking.
Oh, AMPM, fuck them. Arco.
58 cents.
It used to be 35 cents back in the good old days.
That's a credit card company. They don't, like 7-Eleven, you could buy $1 coffee. They pay the charge.
Yeah, shout out to 7-Eleven.
But a lot of stores be like, they pass it on to you, be like, are you sure you want a 35 cent charge, 58 cents, depends what kind of processor
most of these mom and pop shops, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
But Arco, you're fucking...
Yeah.
If you do the math, you end up paying the same amount for a gas you do if you use debit or credit. Or I don't know if they take credit. But you end up paying the same amount if you do the math. Because most people get like... Unless you drive a big car, you end up getting like 8 gallons of gas, right? So if you divide the 8 into 35, it comes out to like 3 or 4 gallons for gas, which if you go to another gas station, like a Shell or something, where the gas is going to last you longer, it ends up being the same price. Because, like for instance, if you use T-Mobile, you get a reward thing from Shell. So ultimately, I fill up with Shell every time, and I get 20 cents off gas. So I end up paying less than Arco, and it lasts longer.
When I had the Beamer, it was only Shell 91 V-Power. Now that I have these cars, it's fucking Valero, USA, whatever's closest.
Nah, I use Shell and Chevron at minimum. Even Arco. I know a lot of people like using Arco, but it's gas. Like, ultimately, it's gas. There's nothing great about it, but Shell and Chevron, you do pay more. But I've done it myself where, like, I'll do how many miles I get per gallon. And with Shell and Chevron, I always get more than, like, Valero. And I even tried Arco, which Arco is like fucking water. Cars drink it.
Yeah. All right. And to wrap it up, so I got the fourth one, right? And I put this fucking last quart into this fucking...
Where were you putting it, first of all?
Hold on, Daddy. So I put it in there. And I fucking check it again. And there's nothing in there. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I checked under, which I should have done earlier, right? Like, is this shit leaking? There's nothing
showing up.
Yeah, and I'm like, alright. So then I covered the transmission fuel. And instantly I knew what I had done. But I called my dad. I'm like, yo, Dad, this shit's not registering. And he starts laughing. Right away I knew I fucked up when he started laughing. I'm like, where am I supposed to put the transmission fluid? He goes, you know that little hole where the dipstick comes out of? And I started laughing because I knew, and as soon as I had closed the thing,
where it says oil cap,
I was like, why the fuck would I put it there? I was like, I've put oil there before. Like, what the? So if you haven't caught it, I put in transmission oil where the engine oil goes. And I put 4 quarts. I even checked after 2, 3, and 4. So laughter is medicine. I started laughing and I'm like, not screaming into my phone, but I'm like telling my dad, like, yeah, dude, I fucked up. And he's like, what did you do? Like, kind of like, what did you do? And I'm like, you know what I did. He's like, what did you do? And I'm like, I put 4 fucking quarts in there. He's like, what? Why would you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's the pressure, Dad. Like, I'm on like 2 hours of sleep. I'm driving all the way over here. It's fucking hot today. And I'm already like 40 minutes late. I was supposed to be there fucking an hour and 40 minutes ago, but I was supposed to post up at 12, and it's already 12:40, and there's now I don't even know the closest place where I could get a fucking quart to at least get me home. Like, you said at least 3. He goes, just find 1, like, and I'm like, alright, dude, alright, let me figure this out. Boom, wouldn't you know it? Click with my dad. He's not upset, but he's kind of laughing. He shouldn't be upset, right? But he's kind of laughing. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Someone goes, oh, hey, compa. And I'm like, what's up, man? He goes, I checked for you. All I got is 1 quart. You want it? No, dude. I just paid $40 for this shit. I'll give you $10 for it. You're like, no, dude. Like, where you headed? I was like, to El Monte. He goes, dude, 1 quart will get you there, but make sure you don't drive nowhere else without topping it off. And I'm like, dude, let me give you $10 for it. I just paid at the liquor $10, $40 for 4, like the lease. So he's like, nah, man, no. Just make sure you flush your engine. Because that shit is fucking... I want you to check it while you're here. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do you that favor. So I check it, and like the engine dipstick, like where it says like high. Yeah. No, well, like low, high. Okay, and then high. And it's like, do not pass this. It was at least 6 inches higher than that. So that's how for years, you asked for how did I deal with it. Beautifully at the beginning, where I felt proud. I'm like, damn, I can't believe I fixed it.
I mean, that's all I asked. I asked how to get off the freeway, because I could change the flat myself. I'm not going to change on the freeway, but you decided to keep going, and
that's what we're here for. We keep it real. And sometimes keeping it real goes wrong. But, yeah, no, I mean, I've changed how I run the freeway before. It's not scary. It's just kind of like the way that I drive during the day. I'm kind of very observant. Like, I don't text and shit. Like, I look at people, and people always laugh that it's not fucking 50%. I'm like, dude, it's close to 50%.
Not paying attention.
Not paying attention, but most of the people not paying attention are texting.
Hey, no, okay. If you text, fuck you. But some crazy shit I've seen, women. If you're out there putting makeup on while you drive, fuck you. Because, like, I've seen some lady get rear-ended because she, like, straight slammed on her brakes. And she got mad, like, and she got off and all pissed off at the guy behind her, even though she slammed on her brakes. And I full-on seen her, like, both hands holding a mirror, putting on makeup, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, get a dash cam if like out.
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck.
So like when I mean, in the pinch though, I'm like, I gotta change my tire. You know, like, what am I gonna do? Wait for AAA for fucking 40 minutes? With one, I don't have AAA, so I gotta do it. But no, it's kind of I mean, I don't even want to go into it because it was really nothing big. I just saw the hose hanging, so I knew that it was obviously the hose.
Like I'm telling you, my more important thing, I didn't even know about the 501, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people listening.
Oh yeah, at least get that from it. Especially if you're in Southern California, Los Angeles County, which a large portion of our listeners come from. No, not a large portion.
Majority of the portion.
The biggest portion of our listeners is in Southern California, you know, but it's like
the rest are in Scandinavia for some reason.
No, Australia. Australia's like, well, I mean, not Australia. It's all the U.S., but then
Kazakhstan.
Outside countries of the U.S., it used to be Ireland, but now it's Australia. But is it a country? Is it a continent? Because after that episode, it's just there's still people listening. It's kind of cool.
I don't know.
Kind of cool. I mean, it's a continent. Let's call it a continent. But so that was my fucking mechanic story.
And that was the connection with fish. So apart from getting his, it didn't happen on the same day, but food got thrown out, car blew up. It's been, I mean, nothing worth having comes easy, and that's what I keep telling myself, because so this weekend was Thanksgiving weekend. I didn't post up. Last weekend was the weekend before Thanksgiving. Saturday they also threw our stuff. Well, they didn't get to. That they were out there throwing other vendors' stuff, and luckily, some of our best customers happened to be down the street at a store, and so they rushed over and let us know. And I had literally orders on the grill, and I just threw them. That's a fridge.
Or is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, am I hearing that in here, or is that a?
We got a fridge upgrade. It's one of those that has the water dispenser and then the ice dispenser, but I don't know how that works. But I think it fills the top with water at one point, so it makes ice, and that's the noise it's making.
Okay, because I heard it up here. So I mean, obviously on the headphones, but I was like, is that something with the instruments I'm using? But no, yeah. So the first day I ever went to go sell on the street, I got a flat tire. Canopy, I was using a canopy that I bought like 7 years ago. Like, that's nobody's fault, right? But it broke one day, like while we were serving food. Like, it just gave out. You know, and they were standing in line, and luckily nobody was hurt, nobody was close to it. And I mean, that's obviously just an easy fix, but that's what I continue to tell people. Like, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And you kind of want a challenge, because you want to look back not just on the journey, but like kind of like some adversity. As I keep telling people, like, what's life without adversity? And I think once people get to know me, that's one thing they say, like, you deal well with adversity. And it's like, because I've dealt with so much of it, that you just kind of, any issue is like, how are we going to get past this? Like, that's easy to make an excuse and be like, oh, well, fuck, we got a flat tire, that's it for today. It's like, no, dude.
I'm good at making excuses.
I think I am too. I was telling my dad this weekend.
It's one of the best things.
Me and my dad spent some good time this weekend, you know, for the holiday weekend.
That's what makes me sad. Like, we've had success even though we're lazy. Like,
no, that's exactly what we're talking about.
So think about how lazy other people. Now, not to take away from other people, because I mean, they probably have other excuses. I mean, reasons. But like, sometimes I'm like, fuck. Like,
if I applied myself 100%.
Like, if I stopped doing drugs and clean myself up, well, would I be? I could probably be president.
Nah, I mean,
I don't want to be.
In all seriousness, like, I told my dad, like, people are not surprised by my work ethic, but like, you're really out here every day. Like, yup, you really out here fucking. You just work fucking 50 hours in 4 days. Like, yup, you do. Yup. But so I told my dad, like, I'm either the laziest hard worker you know, because any excuse to like chill, I'm chilling. Either the laziest hard worker you know, or the hardest working lazy person you know, because I'm always working. Always. Obviously, during pandemic, it was out of my control. But I did feel burnt out maybe like 3 weeks ago, which that rain. The only thing I'll stop for is rain. You know, I can't risk being out there during the rain. And they said it was gonna rain, and I took the weekend off, and it was so fucking beautiful because I just slept, I ate, and I felt refreshed and recharged. This weekend, granted, shout out to the people that like run charities and do charities, because it's a lot of fucking work. What I did, people are trying to tell me like I did something great. I feel like it's just what you're supposed to do. You know, you're supposed to look out for your community, for the vulnerable people. And I feel like I did nothing, but it was exhausting as fuck. It literally took 2 complete days of my life. And literally, near the end of the event, me and Big George Hernandez, he was on here during the pandemic. He was also, I think, episode 2. He has connections at the Almani Police Department, so he called them to see, because they have a program that like helps families in need.
Yeah.
So we're driving over there, and I didn't tell him, but I was honestly thinking, like, dude, I don't want to do this shit ever again. Like, this is, I'd rather just donate money to somebody else running this shit, you know, because this is fucking exhausting. It's tiring, and it's just so much going on. And then once we got in there, I felt like it was just the perfect scenario, because the cop didn't say much. He just said, you know, the thank yous or whatever. He goes, you know, yeah, you know, we just got a list of families that really need this kind of stuff, you know, with the pandemic and everything going on this year, like, we just haven't had enough people reach out and donate.
Yeah.
And I felt like that little bit of words was like, oh shit, Hector, like, but is people in need, you know, because don't get me wrong, I have a great team, great surrounding, but there was people that were getting stuff, telling me like, hey, make sure that the people that grab stuff really need it, because there's a lot of people that just want to grab stuff.
Yeah.
And so even though I try not to be a piece of shit, in my mind I still go to that piece of shit spot where I'm like, these people don't even need this shit, you know. And who am I to judge? Who am I, whatever? Like, we take donations, we give it out. It's not like it's coming out of my pocket, which obviously I did donate myself as well. But with the cop saying that, I was like, it kind of made me process, like, the cops deal with the worst of the worst. Obviously, Black Lives Matter and all that shit, like, they shouldn't shoot unarmed people and all that, you know. Like, let's save that conversation for another day. But like, the Almani Police Department sees the worst of Almani. You know, they get called on the worst shit. They also see, like, the families that need it the most, you know. So I'm like, maybe next year, I'm already thinking of next year. As soon as we walked out, we got in the car, told George, like, dude, on the way here, I was honestly thinking, like, I never want to do this shit again. Well, I just told you, like, I'd rather just give some money to somebody else running it, donate some fucking food, donate some clothes, whatever needs to be done, I'll help. But I don't want to be in charge of it. And I was like, dude, next year I'm going to do it different. Like, next year I'm going to focus on our first 5 dinners went to, I'm going to get him on here soon. I wouldn't call him a friend, but I have a acquaintance that works at a drug and rehab center. And these people are drug and recovering addicts. So they're trying to get their life together. But obviously it's kind of hard to get a job with like certain things on your record. So they can't just, so they have families to feed as well, but it's kind of hard when nobody's giving you a chance. So the dinner's going to them, gives them one less worry, you know, even though like a lot of people would look down on those people and be like, I don't know if people will say, I don't honestly, I haven't even thought this out, but I don't know if people would be like, I don't want my donations going to fucking drug addicts, like, because that's how some people look at them, no matter how much.
I honestly, I think most people who donate don't care as long as the person who's in need, especially, so like, not to say everyone wants to root for the underdog, but like, reality is most people want to help someone who they feel their dollar could like benefit. And that's why I mentioned before, like, when, not to say you needed to call out for help, but like you saying, or like you putting the Patreon out, is that kind of thing where people are like, again, not to take away from the homeless or anything, but if you say, most people's mentality is, if I give $20 to a homeless person, he's gonna spend it on drugs. That's too much money. If I give him $2, he'll buy food or something. You know, like that's a mentality that's carried. Whereas if you say like, hey, this guy just needs $60 to buy dinner for his family, someone's gonna be more inclined to pay that because it's like, this is gonna help this specific cause, this specific reason. And I think that's why with the donating, a lot of people kind of already know that. Like, you're just feeding someone because, like, who cares about the adult, right? Like, at the end of the day, most of those adults have kids and stuff like that. Like,
it's a Thanksgiving dinner for the family, you know. It's not. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I don't know if you're referencing the $60 to like, because that's what the price I put out there.
Oh no,
because I put like most likely, like, because everybody kept asking me, donations were stacking up, and then people were asking me like, how much is it going to be per family? And I was like between 60 and 80, and because, you know, obviously the price per pound that you're getting wasn't just like, hey, here's a turkey and here's some fucking stuffing. It was like a legit complete meal. And so soon as I put that up, everybody started donating 60, 70, 60, 70, 80, you know, because it's like you said, maybe there's some truth to that, because everybody's like, okay, this is what it's going to take to feed a family. And now they know, like, because two things, right? One thing that you said, if I give somebody $5, I give them the $5. I don't give a fuck what they do. Yeah. They can buy drugs, fuck it. They want to buy cigarettes, fuck it. Because sometimes I've asked homeless people, hey, you hungry? They're like, nah, man, I just ate. I'll take a couple bucks to buy something for dinner, though. Give them a couple bucks. I obviously saw on the street, right? So homeless people pass by all the time, and I'm not trying to jerk myself off here, but we feed every homeless person that passes by. I have multiple witnesses. I'm not just saying that for saying that. Like, we literally do that. And sometimes they'll be like, no, man, I'm hungry. I ate earlier. I'm like, grab something to go. You know, it's Sunday. I won't be back here tomorrow. And they'll be like, no, man, give it to somebody else. I ate already. I'm good. And there's other times where that same person will be like, yo, dude, I haven't eaten since Wednesday, you know, and it's fucking Saturday. And you're like, oh shit, he's hungry, you know. He's hungry because he's telling me. He knows I'm going to give him food regardless. So he doesn't need to tell me a sob story. Yeah. He's telling me because he's fucking hungry. And another thing, this conversation happened a lot in November, which I'm glad I changed some people's minds in front of me. Because they would tell me, like, why are you doing this? You know, like, why are you, like, not saying that they needed to pitch in, or not saying whatever. They're like, why are you feeding, like, a lot of these families want to freeload, you know. These are the families that freeload off welfare. I'm like, so what if they do, you know? That's where our text money goes for. I'd rather my text money go to families in need than to bombing innocent civilians overseas, you know. Personally, that's me. And they'd be like, yeah, but, you know, I had so many bad experiences with, like, especially, it's not correlated, but just people see, I'm telling you, like, people pass by and be like, yo, man, come back in 15 minutes. I got a line right now, but come back in 15 minutes. Your lunch is on me. They'll be like, okay, thank you. So they'd be like, you give up, like, I'm not saying fucking everybody should feed homeless. That's not your thing. That's not your thing. I'm not saying everybody should fucking feed families in need. That's not your thing. That's not your thing, right? But I guess just because I'm doing it, they would tell me about it. They'd be like, one time I bought this homeless man food, and he threw it away. He was like, nah, man, I want some cash. So fuck them. I'm never giving any homeless man money. And I was like, dude, I don't know if you're Black Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, but if a cop kills somebody, they say, hey, not all cops are the same. Don't treat them all the same, you know. That was one cop. If it was a black guy that did something wrong,
like, they're not the same. That was a criminal.
So, but there's the same exact. I don't care what side you're on. You can be on both sides, honestly. But with the homeless, you can't judge all of them based on the actions of one, right? That's what we shouldn't do. Whether you had a racist Asian person towards you, a racist white, or a racist Mexican, you can't judge all of the people based on the actions of one. So why would you do the same to the homeless community based on the actions of one? And legit in front of me, 3 different people said, you know what, I never thought about it that way. I just kind of went, fuck them, you know, like, I'm not going to give homeless people money. And I'm like, but that's the truth. What if that homeless guy was a little psycho and didn't want money,
You know, it's crazy that this is what a lot of politicians say, because with the welfare program, a lot of people say, like, there's so many people taking advantage of it, and there is. I've seen people at the store paying with their EBT cards and putting their wallet away in, like, a Louis Vuitton wallet and like all that stuff, and like I get that. At the same time, I've seen families that can't even afford food that are using EBT, and they're using it to like its full extent, getting the most amount of it. And there's a lot of politicians who've said like, if there's 4 people taking advantage of the system, but there's 6 people who actually need it and we're able to feed them, then those 4 people who are taking advantage of it, like it's just kind of a casualty. Like you like, again, it's any business. It's a business at the end of the day. Like, you're gonna take a loss, and there's a lot of people who like, oh, you shouldn't drug test, you shouldn't do this to like see who should get it or not. And most people who probably still would qualify probably could pass a drug test. If you're walking around with like Louis Vuitton and all that stuff, like you probably can pass a drug test. It's the other people who are legit struggling and need that escape that smoke. Like, I can't get it probably another job that's considered like good quality or like a union job or anything, because I can't pass a piss test for what the marijuana's. And that, so I guess in a way I know that struggle.
No, and to me it's like, because I don't even care, but we were talking about it, because I'm very anti like I'm talking about this here now about the feeding the homeless, just because I hope the people listening get something from it. You know, like if they've ever been the person to say, hey, I try to give some homeless guy some food and he was like, fuck you, I want money. Because I've heard, I won't say hundreds, I hear people exaggerate, a lot of stories like that, you know?
For thousands.
And so when me and a friend were talking like 2 weeks ago about this, he was like, I just hope you don't become what you hate. And I was like, I know what you're talking about. And he's like, what? And I was like, that I start sharing like I'm fucking feeding homeless and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. He's like, no, I love it. I love what you're doing. It goes, and you need to share because you have a big platform. But at the same time, don't get caught up in it because you hate that shit. So I don't want to see you do it. I'm like, dude, when have I put like, hey, look, I put it because my hopes are that other street vendors see this shit, like that other people selling like with the restaurants or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I've worked in restaurants. I know how much food goes to waste. So if that, not because it's going to waste, not to be like, oh, this is going to be trash anyway, so might as well feed the homeless.
Because certain thing is like pre-prepared and you can't like, just reuse things.
Yeah. Like, okay, this might end up trash, so I'm going to give it to you. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like, you can feed them and it's still not going to hurt your bottom line. You can be profitable and still be a good person. And the thing is, that shit is contagious. The last 2 weeks, I've received literally like 100 messages saying like, hey man, love what you're doing. How can I help? Best way is to feed a homeless person. Second best way is to like shoot me some money so that we can feed more families.
Sign up for the Patreon now.
and third is share it. You don't realize like, because you know you say, oh, I only have 120 followers. That's 120 followers that don't follow me. So just getting eyes on these things is, like I keep saying, exponential, because then a bunch of donations came in. Or people, you know, obviously a lot of it from my friends, because my friends fuck with this type of shit. We did this for Top Shelf Sports 4 years ago, but a lot of it came from people I don't know, and that to me is where I'm like, dude, this could be a bigger thing. That's just from sharing on the podcast and the fish page, you know, like this is 3,000 followers on each. Like, what's gonna happen when I have 10? You know, like, and I'm gonna do things different. You know, I want to feed, like I said, the drug and rehab one. I want to do like 10 for them, and then for the cops do like 10, and then just maybe be like, hey guys, turkeys not on me this year, you know, buy 100 turkeys type shit. Like I said, with sponsors, like I think that was before we started recording.
Okay, no, I think that was
maybe early at the beginning of the episode,
yeah.
Like when I said like, oh dude, if you want to sponsor me, like this is gonna be part of the contract. You're gonna give me 50 turkeys and 50 hams for Thanksgiving. You're gonna give me fucking 100 toys for Christmas, because not only do I want to like set myself up for the future, I want people to see like, oh, dude, this fucking wetback with the little fucking taco stand and a little fucking stupid ass show is doing so much for the community.
Like a seafood stand.
Well, it is, but that's what made us famous. And kind of show, like, that's why I always talk shit about myself, not because I don't have the confidence. I know what I bring to the table, you get me? But I know that if I'm just showboating the whole time, people will be like, this arrogant ass dickhead. But I know I can talk shit about myself and still be the same fucking confident ass guy. So I, you know, like when they say, like, why are you so tough on him? Like, as a football coach or baseball coach, like in the movie, like, why are you so tough on him? Because he can take it. Like, I know I can take it. I can say all the shit about myself. About myself, you know, because I know I can take it. So I'll say all this shit about myself, like, yo, dude, look, I'm a fucking college dropout. So much potential. I haven't achieved nothing. And look at me, like, I was jobless for 6 months during the pandemic. And if I can give back, like, why can't you? Not to be like, everybody needs to give back, because this is just the beginning. I was literally today reading about how to set up, like, I was like, fuck, am I going the Trump way? Because I was like, the David Aguilar Foundation. Feed the children, educate the children, feed the homeless, and home the homeless.
But see, there's not enough money for that. That's why
there isn't.
But that's the thing, like, again, like most businesses, again, it comes down to like a business. Every foundation, every charity is a business at the end of the day, whatever you want to look at it. And like every business, if you're not doing your best at it, there's always going to be someone who could do it better for less. Like if you're not using, like, feeding the homeless, right? If you're buying enough produce, most farmers, manufacturers, whatever, could give you a bulk discount because you're buying so much. Whereas if you're only doing partial, you're not buying as much, so you can't buy as much, so you're able to feed less with less amount of money, you get me? And that's why they say a lot of the times money donations do work out better, because you, with $100, could buy X amount of food, where a foundation who's dedicated to that with $100 could buy triple that amount because they have those connections. Whereas if you're doing everything, you don't have those same connections, not because you aren't making the same, like, you're not talking to the same people, but at the same time, it's like you're going to take a small pickup truck worth of food where this company's going to take a full 18-wheeler, you get me? Like, they're going to pay more in general, but when you break it down to how many mouths you're feeding per dollar, you're going to feed a lot more with the bigger one.
To an extent, I agree, but also at the same time, you got to put in things that I take into account, which is the network that I'm essentially creating, but also being a part of. Because the people that I'm meeting through the podcast, through Fish, through my personal life, like that, let's say hypothetically, I were to raise $1,000 to feed the homeless. And then let's say one of your friends happens to be in a charity that specifically focuses on feeding the homeless. So I did my part, right? Yeah. I don't have to be the guy to get the glory, to be whatever. I need to, okay, here, David. But the problem, here goes the $1,000 for you guys, and you guys. I know that $1,000 is $1,500 because you guys make it go.
The problem with that, though, is if you're not doing the work yourself, or if it's not your foundation, like you just said, you had your foundation, then you're risking working with someone who, like, you donated to that foundation, right? And let's use Tekashi 6ix9ine as an example. He tried to donate to that. He tried to donate $1 million, I think, to feeding the children or something. And they turned down They turned down the money because they said we don't make associations with PACs like that. So let's say they would have taken the money, right? So now you have a connection with that foundation, and now one of your donators says, "Hey, I can't have any affiliation with you whatsoever because you're doing business with that company that's doing business with that company," and that's a big what if, but that's the problem with doing.
So that's a big what if.
Yeah,
but because I've seen it. One of my friends actually doing a toy drive in San Diego. You partner up, like, okay.
Yeah, there's a difference between partnering up and making.
What I'm saying, like, I feel like, not saying you're trying to, like, find holes in this, but I'm like, I have. Like, to come back at it, you know, like, okay.
No, but it's not a comeback. The only reason I ask this is because when I think of something, this is exactly what I think. Like, I don't. It's not no stupid 5D chess or what anyone says. It's just like thinking of the worst case scenario. What's the worst thing that could happen? And I've been in a position where ultimately I shut down a complete business because the person I was working with was like kind of complete jackass. And it was like, all right, like, why continue doing this if it's not gonna, like, it's not benefiting me in any way, shape, or form? And like,
but okay, to bring it back. It's a foundation, nonprofit. So let's say people donate, and that's something where I would use, like, quote unquote, the Patreon. Like, hey guys, honestly, I'm not rich, so I could do $10 a month. So I don't expect you to put $100 a month in this either. But if you could put $10 a month in this, your $10 goes to feeding the homeless, you know, like, et cetera. Hold on. And then whatever money's there at the end of the month, all you need is an email letter and let people know exactly where your money's going to.
But that's the thing. That alone, I'm telling you, as a person, that alone to me would be like, I'm not donating to that because I'm donating to this charity, which is supposed to help this. Now all of a sudden, you're trying to do all this other thing.
No, that's what I'm saying from the beginning. Being like, look, what I want to do is get more books and classes, right? Like, educate kids.
But again,
things teachers need. So I could be like, look, we're going to choose a teacher. All right.
Because what I'm telling you right now, I would donate it to certain charities, very specific charities. If they started saying, now we're just charity with this other...
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying. All this extra... Why is it extra money? How is there extra money in a...
No, you're overthinking it, or you're like trying to find... I'm telling you, like, it'd be like these 4 things. This is what we're doing. Once a month, 1/4 of the money goes to a teacher for her school supplies. Boom. She buys school supplies.
But what I'm saying is all these bigger corporations,
okay,
the reason they have all this, like, we donate to this school or whatever, is because of that reason. Because you say this teacher, and then all of a sudden you have all these people complaining, why is it this teacher? And then they kind of get put into a spotlight of, like, they did this wrong. Whereas in, like, if you donate to the school, there's not as a big...
Well, I'll take those problems as they come, because that just means we're growing, baby, and that's great for everybody that we help along the way.
But that's the thing, like, I'm saying from my failures, that's going to lead you to failure. So that's all I'm trying to say.
If helping people is a failure, I'll take that all day, B.
I'm not talking about helping the people. That's what I'm telling you. Like, everything at the end of the day is like a business. A non-profit, whether you want to call it a business or not, it's not. The profits, though, go back into helping the community even more. So,
because, see, I feel like... Hold on. That's really... Don't cut me off for a second. Let me talk. Because, like, with the homeless one, if I wanted to just quiet... Simple, okay, I'm not going to give the money to nobody. I will use that money myself, and I will buy the things myself. You're the one that brought up, like, hey, they could get a trailer with the food. Well, like, true, obviously they have better connections. But if that's the issue, then I'll do it. I'm going to feed less people, but at least I know exactly where the money's coming from, and the people fuck with me. So the people that fuck with me and support my causes are going to say, like, hey, okay, that money's going to feeding the homeless. It might not be as much as if he were to partner up with X and O, but I know that money's going to that cause. Okay, he wanted to help the teacher. Oh shit, he's helping one of our friends that is a teacher. Cool, because I also know her because...
But you're thinking best case scenario.
No, it's honestly all I think. I don't think bad, B. I don't know if it's stupidly optimistic, because...
Yes,
maybe.
That's how you end up broken up on the side of the freeway.
But that's how I've always been. I don't think negative. I only think positive.
But that's what I'm saying. That's not necessarily a good thing. In the same way with the Top Shelf Sports, when I would tell you, this is the things you need to think about, and 6 months later you'd be like, you're right, I should have thought about that.
But okay, TBH, I don't even know I'm going to have a non-profit, B. I don't know why you're getting so, like, trying to find holes in it.
The non-profit.
I know. But it's like, you're like the one that's trying to, like...
It's because personally, if I say something, it's because I'm going to do it. That's why... And, like, if you're going to talk about the non-profit, it's because you already have a plan towards doing it.
Yeah, but, I mean, I didn't know it was such a, like, bad thing, where it's like...
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just you seriously need to consider every... Because they go through a lot of scrutiny, because they are non-tax. And, like, same, like, you brought... the terrible example you used was a Trump Foundation, because that just shows you an example of how easily money is funneled out, and that's what makes people not trust those foundations.
The Susan B. Cohen breast cancer awareness, their job is literally to raise awareness. Like 5% of the money goes into actually research and development. The pink and all the pink walks and all that.
Yes, I'm aware of that. It's crazy because the Ronald McDonald's Foundation, McDonald's supposed to be like a horrible company. It's one of the
best charities
to donate to. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, they face so much scrutiny. That's why I make that point of like the connections.
I had 1,000 listens. It's not 100,000 yet. It's like,
but that's the thing. You get 1,000 listens now. It doesn't mean, like, think of Kevin Hart. He got canceled out of that Oscar thing because one of his 10-year-old, 12-year-old tweets got pulled up, and it's like you said, you could be a different person now and say, hey, that was my mindset 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But people are going to bring it up and say, like, look at this hypocrite. Like, the only reason I say that is because of Charlemagne, a podcast you put me on, Brilliant Idiots. I guess his first persona was a lot more like Howard Stern. So now that his persona, not to say his persona because he says it himself, it's not a persona. I change as a person. Like, if you talk to me now, this is who I am. If you talk to me back then, that's who I was. But a lot of people are going to say, like, you're a hypocrite because that's who you, one of these is fake. And it's like, no, bring that up because I'm not going to deny that's me, but that's just a different mindset. And same thing with this year, like,
if you're not a hypocrite, you're not growing. That's what you've been saying the last 3 episodes. If you're not a hypocrite, you're not growing, because the person you were shouldn't be the person you are, and that's me. Because I was one of those people saying about the fucking homeless. To one of the older friends told me, like, you can't judge everybody. And I was like, no, but I bought him food and he threw it away. Like, so what? Buy the next one food. He's gonna eat it. You get me? Luckily for me, it happened when I was like 19. So I didn't go around spattering that nonsense, you know. Like, I was able to tell other people, but not because I got woke, because somebody else taught me. And that's the thing. This platform is not for teaching. We're not here to do shit. We're not here to change nobody's life. We're just trying to kill a couple hours for them.
Their opinion. Is it a couple of hours? I'm getting hungry. So I was like, damn, I'm about to turn on this.
I just felt like, because TBH, that's literally today I was looking at, like, okay, how do I start? There's even ways to donate online, and the thing is that they say recurring payment, keep it low, keep it under $20. That's why I said 10, because I can't right now donate $20 a month, you know. But at the same time, like, I could do 10. So why am I gonna ask you, hey David, donate $20 a month? And I don't want to ask you. I want you to see this thing and then you do it, like, out of your own, like.
Because you're not selling to yourself, you're selling to your audience. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the people who could afford to listen to podcasts, not to say afford, but most people who listen to podcasts, if you're not listening to something, you're bored as fuck. Like, at work, if I don't have something on, I'm just there like, fuck, like, this day is dreading. And if I have to listen to something, then I'm doing the same shit, but you're listening. So, personally, the way I do math is like, okay, let's say $30, right? I get a free t-shirt, and that's, again, a hypothetical. And I get, like, entertainment for at least one day out of my work week. Like, that already is a win. And again, maybe I'm a rare thing, but again, that's someone who actually, like, right now, I probably need to find more podcasts to listen to, because literally right now, all the major ones I listen to are the ones that get recommended, I've listened to, and not just like out of like boredom and not paid attention. Like, I'll shut them off if they're not entertaining. It's just, I don't know. That's why I tell you, like, this pandemic showed me something different as far as like what do you consider important or entertainment wise. Like, it made you, with the job, it makes you realize too, like I said, those $30 might help you. It's gonna help me as far as content, like, keep me entertained. And at the same time, think of all the stuff we can do. Like, before, let's say, eating out once a week, it was like, if alone or with someone, it's at least $70-$80, right? Which in turn is what, like $300. And during quarantine, what's everyone doing? Cooking. So you're saving money in that aspect. But when you're cooking, what are you doing? Listening to music. You get tired of listening to the same music. You listen to a podcast. It's a podcast. Every time you cook, you listen to it. Like, I don't know. It's lifestyles have changed, and I think that's why me personally would be willing to spend more money on like paying for a podcast, because the same way, like, my girlfriend wouldn't listen to any podcast at all, and I started talking to her about it, and she'd be like, send me one just to see if it's entertainment. And then it started with me sending her the, like, especially funny ones, right? And it'd be like, listen to this one, it's entertaining. And I would tell her, like, listen to this one if you want to listen to something a little bit more serious about this topic. And she ended up just listening to everything continuously, finding her own, stuff like that. And that's what I'm saying, like, now she listens to podcasts when she cooks or when, like, she does errands and stuff like that, the same way as before she listened to music. And she says the same thing, like, you don't realize you listen to the same music repetitively because any new music comes on, you're like, do I like it, do I not like it? And most of the time you don't have time
to skip and to...
Yeah. And when you're listening to a podcast, sometimes you'd be like, wait, rewind that? And you'll really kind of attach yourself to something, and the rest of the time it's not background noise, but you kind of just... You're not focused on the conversation. It's just like two people talking. At least to me. And
yeah, it depends, because there's certain ones that most of the time I listen to them while I'm driving. And there's certain ones I don't listen to, like I'll listen to them on my downtime, quote unquote downtime. But like, while I'm driving, I like these because I know I'm going to be entertained. They might miss here and there, but I know like this is entertainment in a non-entertainment time. Like I get to kind of, it's a fucking hour 30-minute drive, Yeah. And it's not gonna be a 10. That felt like 20 minutes. Like no, it's gonna feel like an hour 30 minutes, but this hour 30 minutes is gonna be enjoyable. And to me, at least, I don't expect that every week, if that makes sense. That's why I'm kind of like not ready for Patreon either, because although I do consider this a great show because of the responses I get, the people tell me, hey, I love your show, it's really entertaining, it's something different every week, I don't think we've laughed once. Maybe we have, I can't remember. But
I laugh at myself inside.
And me too, at you on the inside. I don't know, like I can't be like, hey, listen to this new episode, it was fucking, like it's
hilarious. If you want your midlife crisis or depression, it's a good episode for you.
Yeah, no, but you want to eat?
I do. How long has it been to be eat?
Kind of short, hour 36, below the average.
Below the. It's a good episode though.
I feel it is too.
Put people back on it because
there's a lot that we could have gotten into. I always feel like that, like we could have gotten into even deeper. But for me, this year has been really not eye-opening in the sense of like, like things I mentioned earlier, but just kind of like I feel like I'm on the right path, and I feel like this year showed me that I'm on the right path, and I don't know where that path leads, but I like the trajectory it's on. The show, obviously, if I release consistently, it gets plays. Fish is blowing up. There's people reaching out to me to be on podcast. As far as that, they don't even know about this. And I'm like, obviously, come on, Bubba. I'm gonna fucking plug this motherfucker. Like, hey, if you like me on this, I have my own show. Boom, and that'll, like I said, bring in new eyes, new ears. And I just feel like, okay, I'm glad there's fucking 35, 40, whatever episodes out there, because let's say they enjoy me on that podcast, and they can be like, oh shit, there was 3 episodes, they'd be like, oh, this one was cool, and this one was alright, and this one was so, but like this, there's a lot to choose from. And I'm starting, in my mind, not out publicly, but to become one of those like, hey, if you can believe it, you can achieve it, people. And I don't want to be that person yet, publicly, just because I'm not where I want to be. But I feel like the things coming in like in the next 6 months is going to really put people on like, oh shit, this fool's not just talking about it, like he's actually doing it.
That's what I'm telling you about, speaking it into reality. That's why if you speak about the foundation, don't speak about it like it's something that might happen. Speak about something.
I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. But I just feel like you, honestly, I'm not like being a hater, but I just felt like you were trying to like poke holes in it. Like, B, hold on.
Well, because in all of my plans, like I try and poke holes because that's what you have to do.
Literally, like you heard what I said. Literally today I was checking because I had this thought over the weekend. Like, hey, people, honestly, it's kind of positive reinforcement, right? Like people, you're doing great things, man. Like, I really like what you're doing. And I'm like,
see, but
I'm not comfortable with that. I want to do more. So I'm like, how can I do more?
What you want to hear, not what you need to hear.
No, hold on. So I'm thinking. So over the weekend, I'm thinking like, okay, I want to do more. How can I do more? So I was just like, how do you set up a foundation? What can you, like, so I've literally done no research. This is me on the first day, 10 hours ago on the fucking couch being like, okay, what would I need to do? Obviously, I don't want to profit from this, but I'm not stupid. There is called like an administrative fee where everybody tries to keep, I've read about that today. Everybody tries to keep it between 5 and 10% because even though I put money myself, the hard work for me was I had to take 3 days off of work to do this. I took 2. The third one I didn't need to take off, but the 2 was just to make sure everything went smoothly, and it was fucking work all day and all night. And I'm not saying, hey, you gotta pay me for this, but if I were to tell somebody, hey, I'm gonna need you to do this, this, and this, and then people will volunteer. But if this is a monthly thing, like, how many people are really gonna volunteer? You know, be like, hey, look, at least we cover your expenses, we cover whatever, because that's what these things do. So there will be some like administrative fee, right? No matter who does it, there is an administrative fee. All the great corporations, nonprofits, try to keep it at like 5%. But everybody's like between 5 and 10%. Some go up to like 15, 20, because in order to get these connections, to get whatever, you got to hire people on to do these, like the Red Cross. It's like 30%, you know? And it's a great organization, you know, fucking Hurricane Katrina, they're there and all that type of shit. But it just kind of...
That's another episode, because they get a lot of blood, but I don't know about a great corporation because they sell it, so...
Well, I mean, yeah, it's another episode, but, so yeah, so that's what I'm saying, like, I was literally, I was like, what the fuck, like, I'm not saying, hey, tomorrow, hey, it's unveiling, this is,
who knows?
But it was just kind of like, this is, something I thought about over the weekend.
With the power of Jesus, anything's possible.
And I said, like, so I said, like, okay, what can I do so that going forward, we can help more families? That was literally my thought this morning. That's why I said, okay, I must look into it today. But, you want to plug anything? You want to talk about anything?
No, right now I'm just coasting by. New year, new me next year, though.
Nah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
I've just been working a lot.
That's good.
Sleeping.
All right, thank you.
It's a Christmas thing too.
Thank you to everybody who supports us, supports what we do. Big things going forward. If you don't support us, but you still listen, fuck you. But thank you for listening. Keep listening.
Sign on to that Patreon.
Patreon 2022 Foundation, maybe next year. These things are all gonna happen, but just, you know, take it with time. Obviously, man, I like to do things right, but, you know, sometimes you gotta rush it like with fish, and it works out beautifully. Sometimes you take it nice and slow, and it works out beautifully, like the fucking podcast. Words of wisdom.
Find happiness.
Beautiful. Thanks for listening. You know where to find us. We'll see you next time. Oh, hold on. I almost forgot. It's been so long. And if no one loves you, remember Hector loves you.